Dr. Levin and his team discovered that DNA is not the only thing that carries out the development process. Common understanding is that DNA carries all the required instructions to build organs in human body or a living body. However, they discovered that, which is Levin's team, that there is a bioelectricity or a bioelectric field that outlines a structure of an organ, in this case the shape of a frog's face, before the cells organize themselves into the organ or the shape of a head or the shape of a face. It basically challenges the traditional dogma that genes alone are sufficient to build an organ or cause cellular patterning. Even beyond that, Levin's team altered the bioelectric communication in the field, and the cells, instead of a typical organ in a typical place, they developed the organ in a different place. So I want you to take a second to understand, what are they trying to prove? One, yes, the genes, which means the genetic is not the only thing that creates the human body or a living body or any organism, which means the mutation and the natural selection kind of becomes irrelevant if genes are not the only thing that drive the creation of organs or a whole person or a body or a living being. But there is also a second aspect to their discovery. And let me first tell you the problem, that embryological morphogenesis problem that faces science, which Levin's team has been working and kind of pointed to, that there is more than genes involved in development of organ or living being. Here is a sketch of a human embryo, and about 8 to 21 days, it has attached to uterus wall, it has the fluid sac and the 3 distinct layer of cells, which is the endoderms, mesoderm, and ectoderm. They are basically stem cells, undifferentiated stem cells. We know from development perspective that these cells eventually become different aspects of human body. Like endoderms becomes digestive system, liver, pancreas, lungs. Mesoderms becomes circulatory systems, lungs, skeletal systems, muscular system. Ectoderm becomes the hair, nails, and skin. The problem science or still facing, is how do these cells decide what they become? Because they're stem cells, they can become anything. They can become liver or heart or lungs or nails or skin. But how do they decide? And they are all stem cells, which means they're similar. It's like the layers of bricks that has to become now a roof or a foundation or a wall or a window. But who decides those cells to become? So far, science hasn't found the answer until Levin's team has discovered the bioelectricity. Why this is a problem? Because if you think about a human body, there are only 2 communication systems: central nervous system and endocrine. So if I am going to move my arm, my brain is going to tell or send information to muscles to contract. In the same way, if I see a deer in the headlight, my endocrine system is going to react, release the adrenaline, which will kind of stop all the organs from doing their thing and move all the blood into tissues of my legs and hands to put a brake. So there are 2 communication systems. There is no other communication system known to science, as far as we know today, in human body. And the problem is the embryo here doesn't have nervous system, which is the one communication system, and the only hormone that goes into embryo is the growth hormones to tell the cells to grow. So how do they communicate to decide who becomes what? And what Levin's team discovered, that bioelectric field is the medium of the communication. Wait a second. what is Levinstein implying is that there is a third communication system in the body that is prenatal and is involved in morphogenesis. Hold that thought for a second, that we have a third communication system in our body. And that communication system is not just communicating, but also is intelligent, because it has to know to tell which cells are going to become what organ. And it's regulating. Now imagine a communication system intelligent to do that and possesses a data of what organs to become, and is so precise that it rarely fails. The only other person who has described that kind of communication system, on whose work Dr. Levin built his research, is Dr. Robert Baker. He described that in his book, Bioelectric. So far, Dr. Levin's team has not done human trials, but Dr. Baker had used the same communication system or bioelectric system for healing human bones. So think about it, an intelligent system that exists before the formation of nervous system, before the formation of human body, and it's intelligent. Only other person to describe that level of communication, but not in biology, is in quantum physics, is Albert Einstein, who said the field is the sole governing agency of the particle. In this case, in Dr. Levin's case, what he's trying to say, the bioelectric field is the governing agency of the cells, of what they become or how they communicate to each other, and there is an intelligence in that field. How does that relate to alternate medicine or Ayurveda or Chinese medicine, which is what I practice and where I come from? In Ayurveda, we describe human having 3 pranic fields. Here are different diagrams to kind of show that. On the right side is in Buddhist world, they are called trikayas, which means we have 3 bodies. This is the physical body, subtle body, and the cosmic body, which in Ayurveda, it's described as the sthul prana, which is the prana that are in the body. Prana and chi in Chinese medicine, same thing. And there is a subtle, which is around the body. And then there is maha, which is the great, which is the cosmics. Here is Alice Gray's picture, kind of depicting the same thing. The cosmic matrix of prana, and then the subtle body around it, and then the physical prana with channels and chi. In cranial osteopathy, William Gardner Sutherland discovered the same intelligent system. He called it the breath of life. And he said the breath of life is there before human is formed or fully formed, and it's still there, and it's still governing its all healing and governing all the organs, generations, and regulation. And he called that as a breath of life. And he called that also, Franklin Sills took that work from cranial osteopathy, created biodynamic craniosacral system. And he talks about 3 tides. He talks about the tide that's in the physical. He described breath of life as a tide because that's how it is felt, like an ocean, rising and falling like a wave. Or in a way, the energy field fluctuating. And one is felt inside the human body. Second is felt outside. And third to the infinity. Same 3 that Ayurveda describes as 3 levels of prana. So if we go a little deeper into that, the gross prana or sthul prana is what governs the health, vitality, and well-being. It embodies the pulse of life within our physical form. In Chinese medicine, this will be the organ and channel chi. And this is the bioelectric field that Dr. Levin discovered. And then there is a suksham prana, which weaves consciousness into the fabric of subtle body. This harmonizes between the mind, emotions, well-being of psyche and senses. This is the subtle body we talk about. This is the aspect of intelligence that is in the bioelectric field that links the subtle to physical. In Chinese medicine, this is we call yuan qi that flows through extraordinary channels. If you go through Jeffrey Yuan's work, he talks about that extraordinary channels are prenatal, they are ancestral. They govern the formation of human body from the conception onwards. So that's the system that's intelligent, present before even the nervous system organizes and governs the formation of human body. And then there's a cosmic great Mahaprana that is in Chinese medicine or Taoist medicine is called Tianqi, heavenly qi. And it resonates eternally across all the cosmic web, bridges the consciousness to its going through multiple lives. So those are the three aspects. And what bioelectric field is talking about is the sthula prana and intelligence from subtle prana, that linkage between those two. So how can you use this in my work? We have been actually using this has been talked about in Ayurveda and Chinese medicine a lot. If you go through classical medicine and if you look at the classical texts, they talk about understanding a human being not from symptoms, but from what is actually going on inside them. It is used in diagnostics and understanding of what is really happening to the person, not by just linking the systems together into a pattern, but by literally becoming them. Let me show you one line from an imperial Chinese doctor from about 16th century, Yu Chang. This is from a paper that Walker Shedd wrote, Neglected Role of Buddhism in Development of Medicine in Late Imperial China. And he says from Yu Chang, which was a Chinese medicine doctor, he said, from youth to old age, I paid close attention to what my ears and eyes told me about a disease. I never felt to quieten my chi and reduce the activity of my mind. Literally in the first line, he's saying, I shut down my mind, which is quieten my mind, and I use my senses, which is linked to the subtle body. And then says, attuning our breath or breathing, I first transform my body to that of the patient, becoming their shadow, groaning with their grief, faint and indistinct to begin with. I gradually transform my heart-mind into the heart-mind of the patient. Heart-mind is Sanskrit word for English word for Sanskrit word, which is chitta. We call bodhicitta. Chitta is that inner subtle aspect where senses and mind and emotions, or we call the suksham prana or suksham body, subtle body. He says, my subtle body becomes his subtle body. That level of intelligence that's connecting, which is there before the nervous system was formed. So Yu Chang is saying, I diagnose by feeling them, sensing them, and becoming them. And you might think this is like some kind of higher power, but it's not. I have sat with Yeshi Doden, who was he's a doctor of Tibetan medicine and was physician of Dalai Lama, and he used to do the same. My teacher said who I learned my Siddha medicine from, or Siddha meditation also from, when he used to take pulse, people used to say, it feels like he's literally in my body, like he's feeling me. I feel that deep connection with him. And that's what the old Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine doctor did. And even osteopaths, William Garner Sutherland, we say in his tradition that the mid-tide is the suksham sharira. We say that the client and patient both have to let go their sense of mind and ego and dissolve into one field where a practitioner and a client can sense each other. This is where the diagnosis happens, not by asking symptoms. And you may think it's only possible for people who do a lot of meditation and things like that. But here is one clip, a 1-minute clip. I want you to listen.
It has become so straightforward for me now to picture myself in the shoes of other people, even animals sometimes. Like, it's easy for me now, at least I imagine it, to put myself in the shoes of a cat. And I have cats, I've had cats all my life. I'm very familiar with felineness, if you know what I mean. Um, so that is uh, that ability to imagine yourself being someone else makes it so clear that what you are is just this pure subjectivity, and everything else is ancillary. It's what happens to be happening within that subjectivity. um, how do I put in words how you can make that differentiation. I think this is the best exercise. If you come to the point where you can truly feel yourself in the skin of someone else and yet recognize that I am still me, that's when you realize the distinction between the seeming separate self of, or a narrative, a story of the ego, and an individual point of view, because it's the same you in every individual point of view. Fundamentally, it's the same you.
So, being into the skin of other person. Bernardo Kastrup is not a healer or a doctor or Chinese medicine or Ayurveda. He's actually a computer engineer and a PhD in psychology, not psychology, actually philosophy. And from his rational understanding of things and having deep thought and logical thinking, he reached to the same place of what ancient doctors and ancient physician or Dr. Levin's work is describing, another field where you can become and sense the other person, where you see you and them as a reflection of that one field. So how do we take this work and think in terms of Chinese medicine or Ayurveda? Well, you can take the energy aspect of bioelectric field, which is the impulses that Dr. Levin talked about, modulating channel gates. And that you can use it through electroacupuncture or PEMF therapy, where you can, magnetic pulses can modulate the gate channels and help. And PEMF therapy is known to being helpful in regeneration of neurons or reduction in hypertension or migraine and pain relief. It's working on the same channels because magnetic pulses are affecting the ion channels, which is what Dr. Levin's work was. Or you can go on the other side with Chinese medicine and Ayurveda or Siddha medicine. We're talking about cultivate the awareness of extraordinary channel. Bring up stillness practices in your own meditation work. Learn inner alchemy. Go deeper in harmony with nature. Or in other words, whatever helps to quieten chi and reduce the mind of activity of the mind, so you can be in presence of the patient and work with them or a client or be together so you can feel the same field. And then once you understand what's happening to them, then it's easy to figure out what we can do and help them. So what do I do? Who am I? I'm a doctor and engineer. My name is Prana. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine. I'm also a teacher and practitioner of craniosacral work. I also teach Ayurveda. I learned Ayurveda from childhood with my Siddha medicine teacher. And that's why I combine everything under Siddha Inner Alchemy. I also have PEMF and binaural apps, free and professional version. I also create PEMF coils to connect with PEMF apps. And then you can use it on acupuncture point or marma point, or you can use binaural for creativity, insomnia, and meditation. Hope this was helpful for you. Thank you.